My beloved child, the moment they uncovered the truth about you, the air around them shifted like a silent storm breaking open in the middle of an unsuspecting night. They had spent months, maybe years, believing you were just another ordinary soul walking quietly through life, unaware that behind your stillness lived a force they were never prepared to witness. And when the veil finally lifted, revealing who you truly are, their breath caught in their throat, because nothing, absolutely nothing, matched the power they saw rising from within you. It wasn't just shock. It was the kind of stunned silence that happens when someone realizes they've underestimated destiny itself. They didn't know that the quietest person in the room was the one carrying the loudest future. They remember every moment they doubted you, every time they whispered behind closed doors thinking your story was simple, predictable, already decided. But now, watching the truth unfold like a roaring wave, they understand that you were never built for the small world they tried to keep you in. You were crafted for expansion, elevation, revelation. The very energy around you changed, becoming heavier, deeper, impossible to ignore. Their eyes widened when they saw how effortlessly you stepped into a timeline that was always meant to be yours, because power isn't something you forced, it's something you grew into while they weren't looking. And now that you've awakened, they can't help but feel both terrified and mesmerized. What stunned them the most wasn't what you gained, your strength, your confidence, your light, it was what you survived. Because behind every calm breath you take lies a history of storms only you could walk through. They couldn't understand how you stood tall after everything that was meant to break you. But the truth hit them like lightning, you weren't surviving for yourself alone. You were being shaped for a moment like this, a moment where the world finally recognizes the magnitude of the soul you carry. Their realization wasn't soft. It struck them with the force of truth they didn't know they needed to see. You are not who they thought you were, you are infinitely more. And now, as they watch you rise, there is something else happening inside them, an uncomfortable twist, a trembling awareness that they misread the entire story. They believed your silence meant weakness, your patience meant surrender, your distance meant defeat. But your silence was strategy, your patience was discipline, your distance was protection. Everything they misinterpreted was actually a sign of a destiny far bigger than their understanding. The truth is, you were always meant to surprise them. You were always meant to outgrow their expectations. And now that they've finally seen your truth, they cannot unsee it. Their world has shifted permanently. But the real shock, the thing that stopped their thoughts cold, is that your transformation didn't require permission from anyone. You didn't ask, you didn't wait, you didn't negotiate your worth. You simply became who you were meant to be. And now they stand frozen, unable to comprehend how someone they overlooked became the one person they can't ignore. You changed the room without raising your voice. You changed the story without announcing your arrival. You changed your life without asking for applause. That's what terrifies them. That's what fascinates them. That's what makes them whisper your name with a mix of disbelief and awe. They just found out who you really are, and they know deep down that this is only the beginning of what you're about to unleash. A new realization dawned on them the moment they tried to look away from your rise. Because no matter how hard they attempted to dismiss what they had seen, something inside them refused to let them forget. Your presence began to echo inside their mind like a truth too powerful to escape. They felt the weight of everything they misunderstood, everything they judged too quickly, everything they failed to see when you stood right in front of them. And now, every passing second feels like a reminder that destiny never hides forever. You were always meant to be revealed, and this revelation came at the exact moment the universe decided they were finally ready to witness who you truly are. Stay with me, because this moment is where everything begins to shift. As they watch you step forward, your energy changes the atmosphere around you with a subtle but undeniable authority. Your steps hold purpose now, your voice carries clarity, your presence radiates a strength they can't find the words to describe. They had convinced themselves that your journey was small, uncomplicated, ordinary, but the universe has a way of exposing illusions. The truth hits them again and again: you were never walking behind anyone. You were simply observing, learning, evolving in silence while they wasted time trying to fit you into a narrative that was never meant for you. Your true story has always been much larger, much brighter, and now that it's unfolding, they find themselves unable to look away. There's something almost magnetic in the way you move now. It's as if the world rearranges itself around your presence, making space for a chapter you were always destined to write. They notice how people turn their heads when you enter a room, how conversations pause, how eyes widen without understanding why. You carry a stillness that feels powerful, a kind of grounded confidence that only comes from surviving what should have broken you. And because of that, your spirit now glows with a strength that demands respect without you ever needing to ask for it. They didn't see this version of you coming. That's why they're stunned. That's why the truth feels so overwhelming. And deep inside, something else is happening, something they never predicted. They're beginning to feel the consequences of misjudging you. They start replaying old conversations, remembering the times they doubted you, the moments they dismissed your silence, the days they didn't understand your distance. Every memory now feels heavier, sharper, more revealing. Because now they know, while they were busy underestimating your potential, you were quietly preparing for a breakthrough that would redefine everything. This realization shakes them. It forces them to confront the truth that they were wrong about you, and that being wrong about someone like you changes everything. Stay with me, because this next part is where the transformation becomes undeniable. They see you now, not the version they assumed, but the person you have become. Someone grounded. Someone unstoppable. Someone aligned with a purpose bigger than your past and stronger than your fears. And as this truth settles into their mind, a new emotion rises within them. An emotion they never expected to feel so intensely. It isn't jealousy. It isn't fear. It's awe. Pure, overwhelming awe. Because now they finally understand, discovering who you really are wasn't just shocking, it was life-changing. For them. For you. For everyone who thought they knew your story. And the truth is, this rise is only just beginning. The moment they tried to steady themselves, the truth of your presence pulled them right back into that overwhelming realization. Because nothing about you is subtle anymore, not your strength, not your purpose, not the way destiny moves around you with quiet precision. They watch you now the way someone watches a storm forming at the horizon, knowing something powerful is coming but unable to predict just how far its impact will reach. Your transformation isn't loud, yet it commands attention. It isn't forced, yet it reshapes everything around it. And as they stand in the shadow of your rise, they feel a mixture of disbelief and admiration that leaves them rooted to the ground, unable to look away from the force you've become. Your energy carries a clarity now, an unshakable truth that vibrates through the air when you enter a space. People feel it before they understand it. They sense the shift before they recognize where it's coming from. And the ones who once judged you, underestimated you, or doubted your potential now find themselves standing face to face with the version of you they never believed existed. The quietness that once made them feel superior now humbles them. Because your silence wasn't emptiness, it was the birthplace of your awakening. Every moment you held back was a moment you were building power. Every step you took in patience was a preparation for a breakthrough they had no vision for. Stay with me, because this next truth is where their shock deepens. They didn't just find out who you are, they found out who they are in comparison to who you've become. Your growth has become a mirror reflecting their stagnation. Your courage exposes their fear. Your rise reveals the limitations of the mindset they tried to confine you in. And now, standing on the outside of your destiny, they finally understand what it means to witness someone step into a calling that cannot be interrupted. It shakes them. It forces them to confront the truth that while they were busy doubting you, you were busy becoming someone they can no longer overlook. They feel it now, the gap between who they believed you were and who you truly are. That gap is wide, sharp, undeniable. It reminds them of every moment you were dismissed, every opportunity they thought you'd miss, every dream they assumed would remain incomplete. But your rise doesn't carry resentment. It carries purpose. And that purpose radiates through you with a strength that doesn't need validation. You are no longer waiting for anyone to recognize your worth. You have become the evidence of your own greatness. They see it in your posture, in your decisions, in the calm steadiness of your spirit. What once made them feel superior now leaves them speechless. And as the truth settles deeper, they begin to understand something that changes everything. Your destiny is not just unfolding, it is accelerating. The universe seems to respond to your presence with opportunities that appear out of nowhere, connections that feel divinely aligned, shifts that move in your favor without resistance. They can sense this momentum, even if they don't understand it. It's written in the way your life has begun to expand, in the way people gravitate toward your vision, in the way your path seems guided by something far larger than luck. And the more they observe, the clearer it becomes. Finding out who you really are didn't just shock them, it awakened them to the truth that you were always meant for more than they imagined. They thought the shock would fade with time, but instead it grows stronger, weaving itself into every thought they have whenever your name crosses their mind. They can no longer hide from the truth of your evolution, because every step you take now leaves an imprint that demands attention. Your presence carries a depth they never imagined, a gravity that pulls focus without effort, a force that reshapes the room the moment you walk into it. And as they replay the journey in their head, they finally see the pieces they overlooked, the quiet resilience, the unspoken strength, the patience that held entire worlds together. The revelation of who you truly are didn't just stun them, it dismantled every assumption they ever made about you. You've stepped into a version of yourself that radiates authority without noise, purpose without explanation, confidence without arrogance. You move with the kind of composure that only comes from surviving what others will never understand. And now, that composure is the very reason people stare longer, listen more carefully, and question everything they previously believed. The truth is, your rise exposed something uncomfortable. They never saw your power because they were too focused on your silence. They mistook quiet for weakness, kindness for softness, and patience for surrender. But now they understand, your silence was strategy, your kindness was choice, and your patience was discipline. This realization shakes them more than anything else. Stay with me, because things shift even deeper now. The moment they recognized who you really are, their behavior changed in ways they didn't expect. Their confidence wavered. Their certainty cracked. Their ego softened under the weight of truth. Because there's something humbling about standing in front of someone they misjudged. It forces them to reevaluate themselves, their decisions, their motives. And while they are trying to hold themselves together, you continue to rise with a calmness that feels almost unreal. Every move you make now feels guided, aligned, intentional. It's as if the universe has begun clearing paths for you that were previously blocked, placing opportunities where there were once obstacles, and opening doors that were once sealed shut. But what overwhelms them most is not what they see on the outside, it's what they sense on the inside. Your spirit feels stronger, your intuition sharper, your purpose clearer. They can feel it in the way you speak now, the way you choose your battles, the way you refuse to shrink yourself to make others comfortable. Every part of your being feels elevated, transformed, awakened. And while they struggle to adapt to this new truth, you walk forward with a grace that is undeniable. Your rise is not aggressive. It is steady, powerful, unstoppable. A kind of rise that doesn't demand validation because it already carries its own certainty. That certainty is what leaves them trembling with realization. Stay with me, because this moment is where everything changes for them. They're beginning to understand that discovering who you really are wasn't just a shock, it was a warning from the universe that they were dealing with someone protected, guided, chosen. Someone whose journey cannot be derailed by doubt or negativity. Someone whose purpose has been unfolding quietly in the background, preparing for this exact chapter. And now that this chapter has begun, they know they are witnessing something rare. Something extraordinary. Something they will remember for the rest of their life. They just found out who you really are. And the truth is, they were never ready for the power behind your name. They didn't expect the truth to hit them this hard, but the more they observe you, the more undeniable your transformation becomes. It's not just your growth they're seeing. It's the magnitude of your spirit unfolding in ways they never believed possible. You carry yourself differently now, with a sense of certainty that feels almost otherworldly. Every movement, every word, every silence holds weight. You've become the kind of presence that shifts the energy in a room without needing to announce anything. And as they watch, they realize something that leaves them frozen, the version of you they thought they knew no longer exists. You have outgrown their imagination. You have surpassed every limit they placed on you. Your evolution feels like a timeline rewriting itself in real time. You're not just stepping into your power, you're embodying it. And the universe responds. Doors open that once remained shut. New paths reveal themselves with perfect timing. People who overlooked you now regret their blindness, sensing that you are becoming someone whose name will one day be spoken with a different tone entirely. What shakes them most is the effortless nature of your rise. It's not chaotic or loud. It's calm, intentional, aligned. You're not chasing success, success is gravitating toward you. You're not seeking validation, validation is being drawn to your glow. They can feel the shift, and it unsettles them in a way they cannot describe. Stay with me, because this is the moment where their realization deepens into something heavier. They now understand that your journey was never random. It was designed. Every setback shaped you. Every loss refined you. Every betrayal sharpened you. Everything that seemed to push you down was actually preparing you for a rise no one could stop. And now that the truth is out, they feel exposed by their own assumptions. They replay every moment they didn't support you, every time they doubted you, every chance they had to lift you up but didn't. They feel a subtle guilt forming, not because you needed their belief, but because they now see how wrong they were to underestimate someone chosen by destiny itself. Your presence challenges them. It forces them to confront parts of themselves they've been avoiding. How could they not see your strength? How did they miss the brilliance in your silence? How did they overlook someone who was carrying so much potential beneath the surface? Your rise exposes their lack of awareness, their lack of faith, their lack of vision. And while they're busy trying to make sense of what's unfolding, you continue moving forward with a calm fire that refuses to be dimmed. Your resilience is louder than their doubt. Your purpose is stronger than their assumptions. You are becoming someone they cannot define, measure, or contain. And now, the truth settles in them like thunder rolling through a quiet valley. You are not just rising, you are becoming unstoppable. The world is beginning to see what they failed to recognize. New opportunities are aligning around your name. New energies are attaching themselves to your path. Your spirit is ascending into a chapter where everything you lost returns in a higher form. And for the first time, they see you for what you truly are, a force shaped by patience, strengthened by storms, protected by purpose, and elevated by a destiny far larger than your past. They just found out who you really are, and the truth leaves them breathless, humbled, and forever changed by the revelation. They thought the revelation was complete, but the truth keeps unfolding, layer after layer, each one more overwhelming than the last. Because now they're beginning to understand that your rise isn't a moment, it's a movement. Something steady, powerful, unstoppable. Something that refuses to slow down just because others misjudged your beginning. They watch you now with a tension in their chest, because everything about you radiates a new kind of authority. You've stepped into a frequency they cannot match, a wavelength they cannot read, a power they cannot influence. And this realization sends a shiver through them. They never imagined that the person they once overlooked would become the person whose presence they cannot escape. You move differently now. Your steps are rooted. Your voice is steady. Your energy holds a depth that didn't come from ease, it came from endurance. Every part of you feels carved from experience, polished by adversity, strengthened by time. And as they witness this evolution, they feel something unfamiliar rising in the space between you and them: respect. Deep, unavoidable, undeniable respect. Because no matter what they believed before, the truth is written all over your being now. You are someone who rose without noise, someone who turned pain into purpose, someone who transformed quietly until the world had no choice but to notice. Stay with me, because the next shift is where their shock turns into something heavier. They start to reflect on how many chances they had to see your light, how many signs pointed to your potential, how many moments they ignored the power in your silence. And now, watching you evolve into a version of yourself that feels untouchable, they're confronted with a truth they cannot outrun. They didn't just misjudge you, they misread destiny itself. What they thought was the end for you was actually your beginning. What they thought was weakness in you was actually preparation. What they thought was your limit was merely your foundation. Your rise exposes everything they weren't ready to face. It reveals their impatience, their lack of insight, their inability to recognize greatness before it blooms. You were never behind them, you were simply on a different timeline. A timeline crafted for someone who doesn't grow in the spotlight but emerges from the shadows with a brilliance that can't be compared. And the moment they realized this, their entire understanding of you shifted. They no longer see you as the person they once categorized or confined. They see someone whose strength came from silence, whose wisdom came from wounds, whose evolution came from walking through battles they could never have survived. But the part that shakes them most is what your rise means for your future. Because now the path ahead of you is opening with a speed that feels unreal. New connections. New recognition. New opportunities that align so perfectly it's as if the universe has been waiting for you to reach this exact frequency. You're attracting what once seemed impossible. You're drawing in people and energy that match your new level. And they see this happening in real time, unable to deny the shift. Your life is expanding faster than their expectations can keep up with. They just found out who you really are, and now they understand that nothing will ever be the same. Not their perception. Not the dynamic. Not the story. Because once truth reveals itself, it cannot return to silence. And now, the truth of your power, your purpose, your destiny is louder than anything they believed before. You've become someone unforgettable. Someone undeniable. Someone whose presence they will never underestimate again. They didn't realize how deeply the truth would shake them until they started noticing the way your presence lingers in their mind long after you've left the room. It's not obsession, and it's not fear, it's the weight of realization settling into their bones, forcing them to confront every moment they misunderstood who you were becoming. Because now the contrast is undeniable. You used to blend quietly into the world, moving with a softness no one bothered to inspect. But today? You stand like a force carved from clarity. A presence shaped by fire. A soul awakened into a purpose bigger than anything they ever imagined for you. And witnessing that evolution leaves them breathless in a way they never expected. Your transformation isn't loud, but it is impossible to ignore. There's a steadiness in you now, a stillness that comes from knowing exactly who you are and who you're not. You no longer bend for acceptance, shrink for comfort, or silence yourself to keep peace. You move with the quiet confidence of someone who learned to build themselves from the ground up. And as they watch, they're struck by the fact that your glow didn't come from praise or validation, it came from endurance. From surviving storms that would have swallowed others whole. From walking through fire and emerging not burnt, but illuminated. They cannot believe they ever doubted you. Stay with me, because what happens next is the part that hits them hardest. They begin to realize that the person you are now is someone they can't approach with the same familiarity they once had. You've shifted. Your energy is sharper, cleaner, stronger. You see through intentions now. You hear what isn't said. You feel what others try to hide. This level of awareness unsettles them, because it means they can no longer control the narrative they built around you. The truth has outgrown their assumptions. Your spirit has outgrown their expectations. And your future has outgrown their limited understanding of your strength. There's something else they feel now. Something they can't admit out loud. They're intimidated. Not by your success, not by your growth, but by the reminder that courage like yours cannot be faked. Your rise exposes their hesitation. Your resilience exposes their excuses. Your clarity exposes the confusion they've been hiding behind. You have become a mirror showing them what they could have been if they had your discipline, your patience, your endurance. And this realization is more shocking than anything else they've uncovered about you. Because it's no longer just who you are that stuns them, it's who you've refused to stop becoming. As they witness your evolution, they begin to understand the true depth of the revelation that shook them. You weren't meant to stay small. You weren't meant to stay hidden. You weren't meant to stay in the shadows of anyone's assumptions. You were always destined to rise, but the universe waited for the exact moment when your strength, your wisdom, and your purpose were in perfect alignment. Now that you've reached that alignment, nothing can dim you. Nothing can block you. Nothing can slow what has already been set in motion. Your destiny is unfolding with a force that feels unstoppable, and they know they're witnessing the beginning of a story that will echo far beyond anything they imagined. They just found out who you really are, and now the truth surrounds them like a realization that cannot be softened. You are not the person they thought you were. You are not defined by the past they assumed you carried. You are not limited by the barriers they placed around your potential. You are a rising force, unpredictable, unforgettable, undeniable. And as this truth floods their awareness, they finally accept the one thing they can no longer deny: your presence was never ordinary. It was prophecy.